We must discuss this next signal for further continuations. Well, my dear Bulas and Barrows, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It is I, Krown, and once again, we have some girthy green dildos for this lovely Wednesday morning over here from, once again, a dark and very slippery, actually, Helsinki, Finland. I've been slipping and sliding my way everywhere around this town recently, and with that said, I would like to wish you the best and the happiest of the happiest, because we got plenty to talk about, actually, in a more serious tone on the higher-term timeframes for Bitcoin, obviously following up on the lower-term timeframes from the last couple days as well. And with that said, let's put the focus on the Krown Chain application, which we found at app.krownchain.net. And, oh my god, I have a very exciting announcement to make actually about this soon enough, but we are actually we just decided yesterday night to push back the release date for the new rendition of the app to later this month for a very good reason. We're actually be able to offer people, or offer you perhaps, some very unique information. We'll be able to stream live CME data from just about any old market, and with that said, you can just imagine the possibilities that we can do with that. So with that in mind, let's now focus on the Krown Chain application, which, what do we see? We do see plenty of things, actually. Bitcoin dominance heading up as Bitcoin does now break through the top side of the short-term range. More importantly, we do see that open interest also further solidifying this move, while it adds on another $500 million from 4.7 of what we saw yesterday to about 5.25 billion, that is, with a B. And fear and greed index also popping up 2 points, because this market is even more insanely greedy than what we've ever seen in the history of Bitcoin before. No, actually, we actually have seen one read, I think, a little bit higher than this in the history, but technically speaking, we went from a 93 to a 95, and that means that everyone's getting a little bit too crazy right now. But into the data tab we go, and let's see what sort of canaries and cardinals we can find in this gold coal mine here. And once again, a little bit concerning, as I do see the global funding rate and get above 0.22%. But let's see what the data actually does show down here. Oh wow, this is what I'm looking for. This is getting very aggressive. Okay, BitMEX 0.1%, Binance 0.17%, FTX 0.23%, and all the exchanges actually a little bit below the threshold, but kind of hanging right around there. I want to see this maintained for, at least a day. 2 to 3 days would be a little more ideal, and then perhaps a little bit of a cautionary warning signal there. But for right now, Bitcoin looked pretty damn good. So let's actually just shift into the price action charts and start off with the most important thing to be aware of that is happening the soonest, and that would be the 3-day right here. Once again, the 9 exponential moving average finding the lows on what would have been considered a dump for the last couple days, and now more importantly, boosting off above that. And with the advent of tonight's closure at 7 p.m. Eastern time, we have once again the same sort of signal that we've been following up this whole fucking rally for the last 3, 4, maybe even 5 now months. That has been essentially getting all of the major moves in the trending fashion, and that is this closing above the topside trend band on the 3-day, which is currently situated right around $32,550 on this is stamped. Check your exchange is going to be more or less around that same area. But if this condition is met where Bitcoin does close above it once again, then I would be looking for further continuation on to our next upside targets on the more long-term time frames, which if we're going off of memory right here, let's just see what our next extensions are looking like. It would be show me. There we go. We got the 4-spot extension right here from $38,000, and then the 4-spot 236 right around 40,000, just above $40,000 actually. So I would be looking for Bitcoin to essentially continue onwards and upwards in that fashion towards those next proverbial targets. And for what it's worth, I should also denote that yes, this chart is absolutely ridiculous right now. This chart is it's off the fucking charts. You can't even read it anymore. It's going everywhere. I've never even seen anything like this before. No, of course, we've actually seen we have seen shit like this before, and more importantly, yes, we are kind of entering into what would look like to me the last kind of push on this parabolic phase. But there's one rule that I've kind of learned in my history with these sort of pushes is that it usually, I wouldn't say always, but usually goes a lot higher than what you think is possible, and then plays out the inevitable drop down. In this case right here, I would look for nothing different. And does that mean that we reach for 40,000 first? Potentially yes, but I still want to see that 3-day signal printed to confirm that, and then perhaps yes, I look for another, I guess, $5,000 move from where we're at right now, and then potentially a bit of dramas within that region, anywhere between about $38,000 and $40,000. As we have been playing off these fibs incredibly well on this whole way up. You do see that this 3618 caught the top of our last trending move right here, which Bitcoin's actually currently struggling around. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say struggling, but currently situated around right around $35,000. Also got the breakout right around here. This is obviously not going to be shown that well on a weekly, but on a daily is going to make a little bit more sense. As you you do see that all these areas naturally are going to line up with major fibs coming in this area right here, coming in this area right here, coming in this area right here, coming in this area right here. Yes, you get where I'm going with this. So more importantly, going back to the 3-day, I do want to check out momentum oscillators and see what they're saying as of the current moment in time. And yes, ADX is incredibly fucking high right there. Yes, we actually have seen it higher in the history of Bitcoin before, actually even more recently in November of this year on the run right below, I think that was 20,000 bucks. And that actually reached up to about an 84. Currently sitting at about an 82 for reference on a current run, but most importantly, it's a DMI that I'm looking for divergences for. And as you can see right here, there's by definition no potential divergences even to be aware of right now, because we haven't even come down. We haven't even fucking confirmed a local high for one on the 3 days. So one, we don't even have a high in, and then second off, it would imply that Bitcoin's going to get another high on top of that as far as price action goes, where we look for another another lower high on the DMI plus in this case. But for right now, does it suggest a little bit of caution here? Potentially, yes. More, a little bit more down the road. But for right now, there's not really anything majorly to be concerned of. More importantly, we do see that 3-day MACD still increasing on the histogram, still increasing the momentum, and more importantly, we see that the histogram is head and shoulders above anything else that we've seen, actually even in the history of Bitcoin, and that includes the run to $20,000 in 2017. So yes, we are at extremes, and this will very likely end with tears at some point. But for now, I do still think that, at least I would respect this until we do start to loosen up on this. So when it starts to print white on my screen, or whatever offhand color that you have set for your MACD, if you use the MACD, then I would be looking for, the start of likely at the very least, a pullback consolidation lower, and potentially even a long-term reversal. But as it stands right now, looking pretty damn good. And there's one thing that I definitely don't want to do in a rally like this is prematurely short. So for myself, that means that I will be waiting for an actual reversal before I call any sort of a potential reversal, meaning I want to see a lower low and a lower high on at the very least a fucking daily. Until I see that, I will not be calling any sort of highs. And that also means that I will actually not call the high to the T to begin with, just areas of interest where that could potentially come about. But as you've seen on this whole way up, those areas of interest have typically just produced sideways consolidations, not necessarily like long-term downs or anything like that. I mean, you could kind of maybe consider this area right here, right below $20,000. Yeah, I could see that. But more importantly, on the way up, it's just been more or less a straight melt as Bitcoin does flounder around the $35,000 level. Anyways, with that said, let's go back into the lower term timeframes and follow up from yesterday's short term timeframe analysis, of which there's actually one big thing that I do want to put the focus on actually right here. And this is very much relevant. So this is a good time for us to go over such things. Let's get rid of this because this is not relevant to what we were talking about. I think that was just a little twitchy thing yesterday. And more importantly, yesterday, what did we say? We said Bitcoin on the 4-hour likely to come back down to the 55 exponential average, this green movement average right here, which I had plotted right around about 29.5. We didn't quite get all the way down there. Kind of close. Close enough is close enough in my opinion. 29.9, and then a little bit of a front run for a higher low, and also putting in hidden bullish divergence thanks to Caretaker for this one right here on that low. And then what happens? Well, we didn't necessarily have a video in between there, but if you were on the Twitch, we did say that a move back up to about 32,200 was rather likely. But more importantly, what we did identify on yesterday's short-term timeframes is that if we do close above that 32,000 pivot, this blue box territory right here, then I would be looking for that next move up to the next short-term pivot, which was 33,500, which that move happened, I guess right around the time that I was going to sleep. In fact, at this was. Wait, what? No, that's like 6 p.m. So maybe not so much. These numbers again, it's just so big that it almost doesn't even make sense in my mind. And then on top of that, if we close above this level right here, I would extend that run another $1,000 to 34,500. So if you did play those moves, congratulations. I've just mostly been hodling long, and I don't really have any real reason to do anything as of the current moment in time until we go into a more long form ranging market. That's when I'd like to be a short term day trader once again. But for right now, we do have the same sort of thing kind of implied by this level right here, right around 34,500. I would honestly not use this level, even though it is implied from the prior high. The reason why I'd say that is because in this case, I do think it's better to err on the side of conservativeness, and I'd actually just plot that level right around 35,000 bucks even right here. And the reason why I do that is because that also does line up with the long-term fib that we did see from the extension out of the base below $20,000 for Bitcoin at the 3.618, right around around $35,000. Of course, that also is going to come in confluence with the 3-day dildo closure right here as well. Technically speaking, I mean, closing on new highs would be pretty damn good, but closing above the wick high of the prior would, very likely indicate continuation. Now, I do think that this is a little bit more or less of a formality. This chart looks very, very good here. Don't get me wrong. Volume is suggesting that the participation is not just not waning. You might even look at it as increasing over time as the rally does get more and more and more aggressive. So very likely it does have more. I really wouldn't be looking for a top on this rally until we do start to see something resembling, something resembling exhaustion, which we don't have just yet. It could very much happen, and when it does happen, it's going to come really fucking fast. But what I would say is that looking for that next move up to 38,000 and 40,000, which is probably not going to happen the same fucking 4-hour dildo, although I did say that last time and it pretty much did. But I do still think it's it's better to not include a time analysis along these sorts of things, because I don't really think that it's relevant, or at least I haven't really been able to see it being done consistently over a long period of time to put a lot of faith in it. At least that's for myself. But yes, if Bitcoin does close above this level, I would generally be looking for Bitcoin to start to float up once again. We do have a nice little long, I wouldn't call this a long form, but a short form consolidation right here. Once again, between about 30, what is this? Just below 31,000 bucks and 34,500. So doing some bad mental math, that's going to be pointed up probably somewhere right around 38. And let's see what that shows. Yes, indeed, 38,000 bucks. That's rather interesting now, isn't it? Because if you do recall back on over here, that is exactly in line with the 4-spot extension at 38,000 bucks right there. So I will mark off this area. And if you do recall on the consolidation below $30,000, the 4-spot extension actually did beget quite a bit of significant price action. So with that in mind, it probably is going to line up with some algo targets or naturally going to line up with some algo targets, and I do favor it. So here's the thing. I am putting in way too many lines here, so let's actually curtail this back a little bit. I'm going to get rid of that one right there. Yes, this is a more conservative way of looking at things, but I do think, again, it is warranted, because while I am overall bullish on Bitcoin, the problem is you don't want to get bullish if things are going to come back down, and maybe put another higher low somewhere in right below 32,000 bucks. Even though overall this looks very constructive, very good, and long term probably fine. Anyways, out of this space right here, I would say that if Bitcoin I wouldn't necessarily say that Bitcoin closes this next 4-hour dildo below 35,000. That's problematic. It's if it closes it below, let's call it 34,500. That's a little bit more short term problematic. Short term, again, only relevant for the short term, and likely does imply another move back down, not just to this level right here at about 33.5, which is another $1,000 down, but very likely back down around here, and Bitcoin tries for another higher low, maybe even puts a wick down to the 55 exponential moving average. But as long as it doesn't break below this area right here, more or less fine. In fact, what we could do is and this area is still relevant. Yes, if you do want to scalp, of course, this is not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but what I'd do is that actually you look at this as the greater range, and this is going to be your medium term range right here. But again, I'm only looking for that if we do see a clear rejection on a 4-hour. Could probably judge this on a 2-hour as well. Yeah, we could definitely do this on a 2-hour actually, with any sort of a closure below 33.5 or a wick lower than what we saw on this little short form consolidation at 33,390.5 on Mexico. And then yes, I'd be looking for Bitcoin to come back down and put in another, try to put another higher low somewhere in the upper 31,000, low $32,000 region, which I would put this as a basing area right here, and we could just cut it to the middle actually right here. I wouldn't necessarily say this is the middle, but I'd cut it right here, and that's essentially what I'd be looking for, on a closing basis, with potentially wicks down here for major opportunities. Now, at the same time, Bitcoin does close the next 4-hour dildo above this area right here. We do have that measure move in place, and I generally just would be bullish for the next few $1,000s. There's probably gonna be short terms ups and downs within that context, but I just generally look for those to get picked up over time. More importantly, what we can do is we can get rid of this fib extension over here, because we're like 5,000 bucks away from it right now, so it's not really relevant. We're 5,000 bucks away from its most egregious extension there, but we can make another one for this short form consolidation right here as well, and it's very obvious, very very simple. Oh, and what do you know? The 1.272 already providing a little bit of pushback. Actually, what we should do is we should put it on closures here, and that gets exactly it. Or sorry, no, let's get it exactly on the mark. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we got it. Okay, sweet one. Yeah, I see all the wicks accumulated right there. Beautiful. And there you go. So we got the one spot 272, a little bit of initial pushback, but that, while it is a bit of a profit taking target for an aggressive algo, it's not it's usually not a reversal point for like a long-term move. Yes, I do see the one spot 414 get a lot more play, typically speaking, but same sort of thing implied right there. It's not till we get to like the two spot extension, which guess what is right below $39,000, and the two spot 272 and two spot 618 that are typically big ones, and those are around our $40,000 targets for the general vicinity. So with that in mind, I do believe that Bitcoin overall good. It's just more or less, does the short term want to continue upwards and onwards from this particular point right here, or try a little bit of a pullback first? And hello, how good to see you, sir. I want you to call me Mr. from now on, feller, and you're gonna be. I've been playing too much Red Dead Redemption 2. That's what happens in a bull market. You don't really just been enjoying some time relaxing, and well, after the last 3 years from 2017 to 2020, that was the time to actually work. Now enjoy the fucking bull market, sir. Enjoy the bull market. Anyways. So with that in mind, let's go look at our momentum oscillators right here. And what do we see? 4-hour RSI tells a story. 4-hour RSI is obviously bullish. 4-hour RSI is looking good. 4-hour RSI also playing out some hidden bullish divergence. But I'd say that, the easy part of that move certainly already played out. Most importantly, on top of that, that would suggest that, yes, or does kind of further confirm at least my prior notion that Bitcoin more or less bullish here. 4-hour Stokes, nice and erect. Very, very much erect. In fact, will remain erect as long as Bitcoin's closing above $32,000, clean $3,000 buffer zone right there, not bad. And what do we see on the 3-hour? We do see 3-hour Stokes, nice and up and at them as well. Now they're getting a little bit more in the critical zone, a little bit more tired, but it's a 3-hour RSI that I look for trendy moves. I do not care. It's not that I don't care about Stokes on trendy moves. They just operate a little bit differently. You expect them to kind of oscillate in the critical zone. RSI is typically the one that's actually going to look a lot more normal for it. And this, paired up with a 4-hour looks a lot more normal in my opinion. Looking at the bi-hourly right here, I expect to see it in the bullish control zone. Oh, what do you know? Yes, indeed it is. Nice one. And bi-hourly Stokes, they're going to be coming down, it looks like, as long as we're below 35,500 on this next closure. But again, that would imply that the next sort of downside trend does try to get reaccumulated. Again, I look for RSI coming out of these bases here, and then the hourly kind of same thing as well. Technically down right now. We remain at the downside as long as Bitcoin's closing below 35,350, but probably does come down a little bit. Probably does test a little bit of short-term downside here, but again, hourly RSI does want to come down a little bit as well. So, a little bit of ebb and flow here. I'd probably be looking for Bitcoin to trust extremely short-term downside, maybe like 34.5 once again. And then we'll see how that one plays with the focus on the 4-hour closures. Like I said, if you see a 4-hour closure below 34.5, I would really be looking for another move to try to put another higher low somewhere in the, actually this would be like in the mid $31,000 region, so anywhere around like 31.5. And then give another try to the upside while frustrating the shit out of people who are patiently waiting for this one to move. Moving on to the medium-term timeframes, what do we see right here? 12-hour looks very good for more immediate continuation. We see 12-hour Stokes going to have a chance to cross the upside right at the edge of the bullish control zone in a way, and that will happen inevitably as long as we close above 34,700. Also, I've been getting a lot of questions about this. If you're looking for this indicator right here, it's basically a reverse Stoke. What you can do is you can go into your indicators tab on TradingView, just type in KVDB. I also released a video a couple weeks ago on how to use this indicator, but it's this one right here. Sorry, not this one right here, although this one's pretty damn cool too. I'd strongly suggest checking it out. And the reverse stochastic cross right here, that's the one that I'm referencing on this. It's completely free, completely publicly available. So take advantage of it if if that's part of your game or don't. But yes, very, 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 very well done by Mr. KVDB. He's quickly making a name for himself in the indicator world, which is pretty damn cool. Anyways, 12-hour RSI, what do we see? Hidden bullish divergence, but that was identified days like a day and a half ago. Now it's just kind of playing out. Again, following up for the people who either are divergence players or have the caretaker's RSI. I just kind of want to follow up on this because, these things do typically take some time. If you're playing a 12-hour, it's not going to happen in that same fucking 12-hour. Most likely it's going to take, four times that usually. And what do you see? What do you know? It confirms it right here, technically. And then 1, 2, 3, and then we're probably working on a fourth. If this next condition is met where Bitcoin does see the 12-hour close above that 34,700 pivot, which by the way would be right around that 30. 34, god damn these numbers, 34.5 would obviously, be structural break plus momentum turning up as well. That would be my next major signal really for like more immediate continuation, but they're all kind of around the same area anyways. Looking at HVP, it's looking like it's expanding again. Oh my god, man, this is just insane. This is just insanity right here. And let's go to the daily and see what the daily has to say as well. Daily Stokes are doing what? They are flip-flopping around. Again, I really don't have a major qualm with them being in this region. This is what you expect in a strong trending move. I mean, this is a lot more similar to what you see in traditional markets in strong trending moves, which I'm a lot more familiar with, and it's finally starting to happen in Bitcoin. I imagine that's due to its maturity as a trading asset. And let me just make sure that I'm recording. I am recording. The microphone's working, so this is really good to do 20 minutes into your video. Nice one. All right, beautiful. Daily RSI. What are we looking at right here? I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, but there's divergence. There's not fucking divergence because guess what? You don't have a local high yet. And actually, I'm curious what the daily looks like on the Trollender bands. In fact, oh, what do you know? Guess where the top side Trollender band is right now? Just above $35,000 on a daily closure. Yes, continuation to the upside. 38 and 40,000 in the sites after that, I suppose. We're getting a lot of warning signals on the Jewel, yes, but the Jewel is not even in a bearish posturing just yet. It will switch around at some point, but it's going to take some time. So still, while it is firing off warning signals, it is not firing off a signal, more importantly. And what do we see on HVP? Still contracting here. So we identified this last week, and I really stick by this, actually. That historical volatility percentile on the daily, I actually expect to contract into the apex of this next top. So that would imply that we have quite some time. By contrast, I actually expect the 3-day to expand. How does that work? Well, typically, on the daily, it's obviously, judging it from the daily trend, and the daily trend obviously got very, very hot right below $20,000. And then again, right here on this consolidation. But what I'm looking for is volatility on the daily to get very, very low, and then that's going to kind of denote, hey, this is, this rally can really fucking turn up, and that's gonna affect all of the fucking market making algos and all of the options algos and all those guys. They're gonna start to protect. So they're gonna start to buy some puts, and then the market starts to come a little bit more of a self-fulfilled prophecy at that point. Now this is probably way far down the line. The 3-day obviously is speaking towards the expansion from a much lower base, coming out of this area right here, expanding obviously within the context of an uptrend, in like a clear macro break. So to me, the 3-day is also likely to line up with the daily. In fact, kind of just pick your poison between these two, as they're likely going to have like opposite but same interpretation signals, which is kind of weird. But you do see this actually in traditional markets quite a bit as well. And in this case right here, I'd be looking for this one to continue to expand until we get, at the very least to the 80s, probably even 90s, just due to the fact that this rally is so, violent to begin with. And that probably does call the next, macro high, if you will. Now, we have seen several examples like this in the past, not necessarily this one right here, although it was quite low, but I want to see like 3 months of contraction and then expansion. Even this one right here was like a 35% move to the upside, although Bitcoin's definitely done more than a 35% since this signal was given. What I'm looking for is more like this right here, which is a clear 3-month or more than a 3-month contraction, and then boom, like 60% down to 4,000 in coronavirus dump times. And then over here, back around $4,000 on that breakout to 14. That was very, very similar as well. And then same thing on the big bad dump right here as well. So, we're looking at big, major moves, of which, the likes of which we typically get just a few times a year, if that, in like a good environment. So I do think that Bitcoin very likely, considering that, has more to go to the upside. And I don't want to go over like long-term targets. That will be in the long-term analysis playlist video, which I uploaded several videos into that over the past few, or sorry, not over the past few days, but over the weekend, I think it was, when I did it last. So definitely check that out if you want a more long-term look. I won't be covering it on this video here because it's probably already be too long. Anyways, go check out our other markets. First things first, actually, I want to check out Caretaker over here. Yeah, the hourly getting it very, very well once again, showing the top side of the short-term range, actually currently getting our short-term top at $36,000. But this one still just, this one is very clearly angled to the upside. Critical bull zone consolidation. Nice. That's going to start to go into a trending motion relatively soon here. If you get another closure above 35.5, not bad. And by the way, I'm actually going to be recording another video for this indicator. If you happen to have access to this indicator to begin with, definitely before end of week. And I want to touch up on some nuances with this indicator and just write out like a general trading plan with it, even though it's kind of, it's kind of implied that you should already know trading if you're going to get an indicator like this, but I will do that I just want to share some of the things that I'm looking at and some of the things that I'm noticing with this, because it is pretty fucking nice. I'll put it that way. Anyways, let's see what it looks like on a daily. I'm just curious what these targets would imply. Yeah, showing just below 38 and that 41 level. I'm sure that it's going to probably come into yeah, it's probably going to line up with the 12-hour here. 39.5 would be your area of interest to the upside from that on a trendy move. Nice one. Again, not implying that happens today, but over time looking more or less good. Okay, let's go check out Bitcoin dominance and let's see what the old car dealers are dealing with today. Alrighty. Oh, what's this? Okay, I'm definitely going to get a lot more of... All right, so going back up, I still remain long-term very bullish on this, regardless of all the very somewhat mean-spirited comments that I received for talking about altcoins. Again, I am not in any way, shape, or form talking nasty about you as a person, just about this shitty chart. Not this. This is a great chart, actually. This was a phenomenal chart, but that means that shitty altcoin chart is going to be the name of the game as we go to shitty walk. Shitty walk. This looks like a great altcoin chart. Yeah, there you go. This looks like a great altcoin chart potentially over here. Yeah, there you go. Nasty, shitty, bad. Even Link, even the strong fall. What about Ripple? Ooh, that looks really good. DCN do a fucking downtrend. Why don't you? Litecoin can't even fucking catch its breath. What about Mr. Butterall? One of the strongest of the strong. Even this one's struggling here. Yeah, this one's short-term top. Another lower high potentially in place. Well, kind of have to respect that volume, but this looks a lot like that time that China, we got some China news like in 2019, and you had that quick move up and then boom, back down again, which is what I'd imagine probably happens here as well. Anyways, I don't want to spend my time looking at shitcoins. What else do we have? What else do we want to look at? Yeah, let's go look at traditional markets. Let's go look at like real markets. Okay, so NASDAQ is coming down a little bit more aggressively here. I do think that the short term likely does have a little bit more downside, to be fair. If we go down to a very low term time frame, it's probably got a little bit of a head and shoulders top there. Yes, indeed it does. Volume signature not super proper for that one, but more importantly, I certainly would not mind another move back down towards the 12,450 base. Long term, I'm still bullish on this. There's nothing really that's changed here, but it does look like a little bit of short term downside. Just looking at the monthly, yeah, any sort of a move back down towards 12,400, give or take about $50, I'd be looking for a bounce there. 12,450, in mind, but anywhere around 12,400 looks good to me for a backfill in last month open, and then tries up to the new all-time highs over the next month or two. Oh, that reminds me. There is one thing that I do want to talk about. This is not a fundamental, but this is a news piece. So Mr. Butterall is going to be getting futures for CMEs, I think in early February. And if I had to call it right now, I do think that the market generally just floats up on, off the back of that, coming into early February, and similar to Bitcoin when it got its CME futures debut in November, or no, sorry, it was not November, it was early December. I believe it was December 17th of 2017 right here. There was actually another move after that to the actual final high of $20,000 before the ultimate reversal. I do think that we probably get something similar here. So around that time, I would exercise extreme caution. Could I be wrong on that? Yes, absolutely, I can be wrong with that. But I would very much postulate caution with that, especially for trading, Ethereum straight up. Does it affect the rest of the market? Probably yes. But Bitcoin, then again, is its own beast as well, and can also take the reins of the rotational market, while Ethereum likely does get rotated down in all of the things that are kind of related to it. Whereas Bitcoin, perhaps keeps it up for a bit. That I'm not so sure of, but I am very, 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 very headstrong on the likelihood that Ethereum does turn down around that point and plays out a long-form consolidation down and sideways. Does it affect Bitcoin? That's a question that remains to be seen. Typically, I would say yes, but in this market, when we really are in the exuberantly irrational portion of this rally, things can get crazier for Bitcoin specifically. But I can't speak towards the other altcoins. See what CME futures are doing here. Looking pretty damn good as well. Weekly is a gap fill and then up. Daily is continuation. 4 hour is just straight up. I mean, look at this chart. This chart is so much easier to read than spot price action. Again, it's just an uptrend. And look at this, increasing volume on the pops, while 4 hour RSI very constructive within the bullish control zone. Yes, I'm biased towards the upside here. Even the 4 hour stocks have some room to go. Yeah, I favor the upside to put it bluntly. Anyways, let's see what else we want to be looking at. Let's look at Mr. Butyrol versus US dollar. That is 1109. And yesterday, again, I did say I'd be looking for a move back down around to like mid to low 900 bucks. We didn't quite get there. We got 970. So this one's so fucking strong that just gonna bulldoze its way upwards and onwards, I guess. I do believe I charted this out yesterday for someone. It looks like maybe not on this chart, or maybe it didn't save. Who knows what the hell happens on TradingView sometimes. My TradingView is it didn't say. Maybe I had it right here. Yeah, I did have it right here. Okay, so it's on my least used chart. Nice one. Let's put this on right here. And by the way, I was charting this off in an hourly. Yes, I know it's a fucking hourly, but at the same time, it's like it's working. So that's what's most important. And technically speaking, this ascending triangle right here would have a measure move towards 1250 actually. So with momentum also, it is likely turning up on the next tick with any sort of a closure above 1105, and that's going to be coming in 53 minutes and 13 seconds. So technically speaking, that actually is very much unconfirmed. But if that does get confirmed with the closure above this level right here, yeah, I'd be looking for that 1250 target to get hit probably within the next 24 to 48 hours. Hourly RSI looking very good here too, but I'm on a fucking hourly, so Jesus Christ. Let's go to a 4 hour. Looks pretty damn good as well. So it's like, what are you afraid of, man? What are you afraid of? Daily is clear continuation. I mean, this is just backfill, up. Classic shit. If you're in the TA program and you're wondering what this backfill concept means, it's actually in the TA program. So just go reference there in I believe the bonus section, as this is also another very easy way to kind of just scalp trade if you want to in what's a trending market, in this case to the upside. Let's see what else we have to talk about. Litecoin, up and at him as well. Litecoin's going to fall as well. Litecoin's going to make new highs here. Sorry, I really should not use more direct terminology like that, but 185. All right, there you go. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Go have your spoons elsewhere. Sorry. Can't help myself, though. It's a very exciting day. Let's see. It's 31 minutes into this bitch. Maybe we just actually wrap this bitch up here. And we'll come back later on the Forex video and see what's up. Also, I'll be on Twitch later today as well, so that will be fun times, my friends, fun times. So let's start to wrap this up over here. Let's wrap this bitch up. Bitcoin on the 2-day yesterday, or sorry, let's try this one more time. Oh, motherfucker. Let's wrap this bitch up. Bitcoin on the 2-day closed above the top of the trend band once again, which did set in the bias from yesterday's analysis for more upside within the next 48 hours, of which Bitcoin did test the downside range very briefly, and then boom, lift off once again. Now, the next biggest thing to be aware of in the shortest amount of time would be the 3-day closure coming tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. And again, same sort of kind of implications here as well. This one's been really good for the last 4 to 5 months, as it has been calling all of the upside melts. And once again, Bitcoin gonna have a chance to close above the top side Toronto band, which is currently situated around 32,000 and about 500. If that condition is met, I essentially look towards the next long-term upside targets over the next week or two, whatever it ends up being. Although typically lately those moves have been coming within the next 4 to 16 hours, but that would be around the 4-spot extension right here, coming out of the 20,000 consolidation just a couple months prior, and that would be about 38,000 bucks. But that's not a big one. That is an algo target. We have seen that respected off of the past prior short-term consolidation, but the 4-spot 236 is the big one. That's around 40,000 bucks. So what I would say is that yes, if this condition is met, I would generally be looking towards $38,000 to $40,000. However, if we go down to the lower term timeframes, it should be noted, or actually first let's go over to the daily. Daily is kind of the same thing in line as well. If Bitcoin closed above the topside Toronto band here at 35,000 and about 400, then yes, I'm essentially looking for that move to be initiated somewhere between about 38 to 40,000 bucks, and dramas between there very likely. Anyways, let's go down to the lower term timeframes now, and once again chart this off, as we do have a very obvious range going on right here. And with that in mind, the range actually is being very much respected from a Fibonacci perspective as well. The 1-spot 272 getting our current short-term high, but that's again just an algo profit taking target. It's not necessarily a reversal target, or extremely rarely it is in that case. More importantly, while Bitcoin technically speaking, it is above my short-term resolution point to the upside, which again, I'd much more focus on the daily and 3-day closures tonight. Those are just going to hold a lot more weight. The 2-day probably already got it as well, and it's more or less a formality, especially considering the weekly, but fair enough. My point is that if Bitcoin does close this next 4-hour dildo above 35,000 bucks, I probably would, look at that as more immediate continuation within the context of, this next 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, whatever it ends up being. However, there is one major thing to be aware of. If you do see Bitcoin do what's known as a swing failure pattern, which would be closing below the upside resolution on this, very short-term pattern, to be fair, below about, let's make it actually 34,500, the same sort of area that I had marked off from yesterday, then yes, I would be looking for Bitcoin to come back down and likely try to set in another higher low around the low side of the structure, right around, the mid $31,000 region or low $32,000 region, around that tip. But until that condition is met, I'm generally bullish here. Momentum also is looking good. 4-hour RSI tells a story. It's very, 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 very healthy here. Very, very constructive. Bouncing off of that hidden bullish divergence initiated, I think it was a day and a half ago. And 4-hour Stokes nice and erect as well after hitting our trend line that we set in from these last few lows. Which, god damn it, fucking trend line it's not saving my deletions of these trend lines. But there we go. It looks like it did save one of them. And yes, essentially, I do consider this a test of it. It's more of a regression to begin with, and more importantly, it is lining up with the edge of the neutral zone right there. So, more or less playing off that, and I'd probably be looking for it to play back up towards the same areas that we've been finding these short-term tops in, off of this rally, which is a completely convoluted chart. But you get my point. It all kind of hinges upon the very short-term timeframes for that read. But assuming that the 3-day condition is met, and by extension the daily, I'd just generally be bullish on top of that. But if I was looking for a short-term time frame, that would be it. And the downside, implied if this area does fail on its current, drive. But looking at CMEs right now, especially the volume signature on this rally, which is once again increasing volume as participation is not just it's not just staying steady, it's actually increasing over time with new highs. I do favor the upside here. If I had to call it right now, I do think that Bitcoin does hit those targets, and well, we'll come back later. I'll put it that way. With that said, I want to wish you the best and the happiest. Salute you right now, and until next time.